All right, we're live, guys.
Stream is live.
Stream is live. All right, guys. Well, welcome to the live stream this evening. This was a spur of the moment thing, but we wanted to get it in, and I wanted to get it in as early as possible because it's that time of year where we're going to be starting to frost seed and getting it in our heads and buying your seed for spring and getting ready to plant and doing all your good stuff and getting ready for the next hunting season. And what better person or company to bring up, and what better person to have as a wingman? We have Shawn from Jinx'Em Sense, who has the Jinx'Em seed, and we have Chris, City Sticker Chris, who is a food plot guru himself. So, what better two people to have on here is Shawn and Chris. And we are missing Dawn. No, Dawn wasn't here, but I don't want her to think that we excluded her. So, Dawn, if you're watching,
No, she's
you're
just
more than welcome.
upstairs. She's upstairs
Okay.
kicking back. So
Cool. So, So we're talking about the frost seeding, guys. It's kind of some people, it's a touchy situation. Some people don't believe in it. Some people live by it. Some people are trying it. I'm frost seeding this year. I have frost seeded before with some decent results, not really great results, but I'm going to blame it on the seed that I had. And we're going to try to do it this year with the Jinx'Em seed that we just ordered, a special order that Shawn just put out today. I got the confirmation from UPS that it's on its way. So can't wait for that. So we're going to welcome some people in here. We got Wannabe Outdoors, Matt. What's up? We got Ray's Outdoors. We got Kevin Hawthorne in here, and we got Peterson's Farm, and that's Phil. So thanks for coming in, Phil. He's the one that got your mock scrape kit and everything off of the live last time there, Shawn. So
right on.
Yep, that's Phil. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I am going to let Shawn sort of talk a little bit about the products he has. I have his website up on my iPad here with some of his seed, but I know he was saying he has some he's going to be he's canceling one's going to be discontinued, and he's got some other seed right in front of him there, like spring seed and frost seed stuff. So Shawn, why don't you take it away from here and just give him a rundown on what you sell and what you recommend for this time of year?
All right. So we actually have, let me see what we got left upstairs. I've got 5, 6, 7, I think we've got like 8 food plot blends. We've got turnips, beets, and then we've got what we call our rack exploder, which has that's got beets in it too. Mm-hmm. So those are later. Those are stuff we can talk about later for your fall plants. Yep. But right now, we've got 5 different blends that are good to be going right now. So our X20, which is a 4 clover and alfalfa mix. Okay. These are 1/4 acre bags, and this pretty much is pretty much a hayfield, clover and alfalfa. And right now is the time to start frost seeding for those guys who are in frost seeding. Now's the time to get this get that in the ground. Our other one that we've got right behind that would be our extreme perennial. Mm-hmm. Our extreme perennial has the same thing, the 4 clovers, alfalfa, plus it has chicory. So this is a good frost seeder right now. That chicory, if those guys that don't know a lot about chicory is very high in protein. So this is a good spring plant right here. Like I said, a great frost seeder and a great spring plant. So even if you're getting ready to establish a new food plot and you don't have anything that you want to frost seed right at this point, these are going to be the 2 mains that you're going to want to look here for this spring. And then I'll bump over to our, we've got our XX woodland and we've got our XX woodland. Now, these are recommended to be used in poorer soils. So if you got like a sandy loam, clay, something with not a lot of drainage, and you can kind of go both ways. If it's a little bit wet or damp, I guess you don't really want to plant it in like swamp ground. Mm-hmm. But if the soil stays fairly moist, this can fare well, both the XX and the XX. And they also grow, they only require up to 4 hours of sunlight a day.
Yeah, is that like a no plow or no? Do you have to disc it up and plant it, or is that like a no plow blend?
No, everything we got. So basically, there's going to be you got your first step. You're going to burn it down. So you're going to go down if you've got whether you're dealing with fallow grass, CRP, which basically same thing, or even anything basically that's got just native grasses that have overtaken the area that you want to put that food plot in. First thing you're going to do is you're going to go in and burn it down. You're going to round up it, whatever other products out there that you can use to kill that vegetation off. So then you're going to wait. Yep, you're going to want to wait 10 days after that. Let it sit for 10 days, and then 10 days later, you can actually plant it. But what you need to do, you need to prep that soil. Let me back up even before we go any further. First thing, always, you have to do a soil test. You need to see where your soil's sitting at. Boom. If your pH is low, a lot of in the big picture, pH wants to be around 7. Some plants are like it a little bit higher, up in that 7.5, 8 range. And some plants will even go down into that 6.5 range. But your basic run, you're going to want to be between that 6.5 and 8 on your pH. Of course, check with whatever food plot seed that you're planting, and that'll tell you what your proper pH in your soil needs to be for that seed. So that's the first thing.
Do you have that on your seed packages, Shawn? Like what they recommend? I'm sorry, I just was looking at it, and I don't know if you have that on there or not. I'm looking at it right here. I don't know if it's on there or not. But anything. Okay. 6.5 to 8, you said?
That 7 is actually right here. It is. Yep, recommended pH of 6.2 to 7.0. Okay, that's for our extreme perennial. Our X20, I'm going to guess, is probably going to be right there in the same range.
Okay.
It's not saying on this one hold on.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot there, Shawn.
Oh, no. Perfect. Okay. So I'll throw this out there with you too. So in April, the end of April up in Michigan at my boy's tree farm, we're going to be planting some of this food plot seed, and we're actually bringing in, we tried to get my brother to come in because he's a professor, horticulturist, PhD. Tried to get him to come in, but he's busy and could not do it. At the end of April, last weekend in April at the family farm in Michigan, we are going to do basically a seminar on food plots. My boy, he grows trees, he grows strawberries, he grows pumpkins, he grows corn. I mean, so the kid's pretty right up to it, and he works with a lot of herbicides, pesticides, things like that for his trees and things. So we're going to literally do like a afternoon seminar deal at the farm. I'll be posting more about that for any of your viewers that are in the area want to come up, and I think it's going to be $20 for the class. We're going to provide lunch, be pizza and beverages. We'll provide, and then it's just going to basically walk you right through. We're going to have a plot that is green, and we're going to show them how we burn it down, and then we're going to have another plot that, of course, my boy will already have burnt down and turned up. We'll also do the walk them through the soil testing to test that soil, and then show them how to clear the ground. So, and then how to plant it. So basically most of our stuff, Ted, is broadcast. So after you burn it down, then you're going to want to come in there 10 days later, and you're going to want to strip all of that dead foliage off from that. So you expose all dirt. That, and you don't even really, you can, and if you want to go, there's some guys that go real hillbilly-ish on this, and they'll just put bed springs, throw some blocks on it, and drag over top of it, and just and literally, if you can get that top inch of soil to break loose and just kind of get all of that dead vegetation off there, now all you got is exposed soil. Now, if your pH was bad, that's when you would want to come in and you put down lime or whatever that they're recommending you to do to your plot to strengthen that soil.
Yep.
And then that's it. You're literally just going to broadcast it right over this. You can use a grass spreader, whatever, and you're just going to broadcast it over that area, and keep your fingers crossed and hope that we get rain.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to, through this class too, we're also going to run over like maintenance for your alfalfas and your clovers. They need to be mowed at least once a season. But then we're also going to go in depth a little bit on fertilizing, feeding, taking care of it during, once a month, once every 6 weeks. You're going to want to come in, walk through with your backpack sprayer and fertilize it. And like I said, you all know as well as I do, we've been under drought the last 3 years. I don't know about where you guys have been, but we've been so dry. And we've had a lot of guys that have struggled with their food plots because they just can't, they're not getting any rain and they have no way to get irrigation into their food plot. Now, the guys that did have availability for irrigation, their plots did very, very well. So we're just, like I said, we're gonna have that class. It's gonna be the last weekend in April at the family farm there in Sheridan, Michigan. So we'll be posting more of that, and then you guys can share if you would like and all that. And like I said, it'll be $20 a person. Come up, we'll walk you through the whole process from burning it down to broadcasting the seed to maintenance and taking care of it afterwards. And like I said, we'll be providing pizza and probably pop, water, you know, different beverages like that. So so yeah, so back these the double X and the triple X, real quick, back to those. Those are also good for like your little micro food plots like that you may have in the timber where you've got a nice clearing that you can clear out. And like I said, again, it needs to get 4 to 6 hours of sunlight a day. So you could get 4 hours of decent sunlight and then maybe a couple hours of filtered sunlight, and this stuff will still do good. So our double X is a mix of ryegrass, rapeseed, and clover. And then our triple X is the same mix. It's got the ryegrass, rapeseed, and clover, and it also has peas and radish in it.
Okay.
So
you have
all,
peas and
all
radish
5 of these, all 5 of these that I just described are good spring plants. You may run into it like our triple X where you got your radishes may end up rotting out by time season hits. So these are both also a good fall plant. So with the radish and the peas in there, you know, you might want to look at that end of July, first part of August of getting that in just because of the peas and the radish. But
that's a good blend right there. I like that blend.
Yeah. And the good thing about this blend is too, is if you do a spring plant with this and those radishes do end up rotting out on you, you're doing good because that radish, turnips, beets, those are all soil builders. So if you leave those in the ground and let them rot into the ground and till them back into your food plot, if you can till, you're good. That's just a natural pH balancer to help to up your pH. It just helps to give you it's a soil builder, literally what it does. So for a lot of guys with like our turnips and our beets, and like I said, those are later planting, but those will rot out after, you know, in the spring, those will start to rot out. So Paul, I see you out there today with your video there, Ted. Just leave those right in there and work them back into the soil if you can, because they're an excellent fertilizer, the excellent soil builder, and just strengthens your soil and makes it a lot better. And the next year you may not have to put as much lime on it, you know. And hey, if you got good ground that you don't need to take your soil test and your pH is sitting at 7, you ain't got to do nothing to it. But a lot of times, what a lot of people find out is that you know, that might be down into the 5%. And here's an example on my boy's farm. He's got out front. There's what we in Michigan call muck fields, and it's black dirt. It's just it was old overgrown elm tree swamp that all the trees died 20 years ago, 30 years ago, actually, probably 40. I'm getting old. I used to run around on those down trees out there when I was about 10 years old, and I'm 59 almost now. So, you know, that was years and years ago. But all those trees have decayed into that soil. And my boy had it all tiled this last year. Okay. So he thought that black soil is going to be great. I can grow anything in it. And he went out there and planted pumpkins in that. And part of it did, like the east end of that muck, they did well. Up to the west end of it, they weren't doing worth the crap. The leaves were yellowing. And so he's like, you know what, I guess I need to do a soil test, because I just didn't figure I'd need to do a soil test, because God, it's good, black, rich dirt. That should be good dirt. Yeah. And he went in and got a pH done on it. And the east end of the field was right there. It was like just over 6. And but the other end, he was down up. God, I think it was like 5.1 or something like that on that west end of the field. So he ended up having to put some lime on that. And he's like, most people would look at that soil and think that this is great soil. It's black, it's good, rich dirt. That's
Yeah.
not always the case too. So that's why we always recommend that you guys do those soil tests and get them in and just see where your soil's at, because
Yep.
you're not going to be happy spending the money, because food plot seed is not cheap. I mean, it's not like outrageous well, depending on the seed that you're getting, but you know what I'm saying? You don't
Yeah.
want to waste a bunch of money on a bunch of seed and get it thrown down there and then it's not growing, and then come out to find out later that, oh, my pH was way off on my soil. And you know, you can save it. A lot of times you can come in there after the fact and lightly start to fertilize it and help to try to pull it through and get it built back up. But then you're putting a lot more work into that food plot than needs to be put into it too. So
For sure. With the pH too, and Chris,
I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Get the soil test, see what you need to do to amend that. And then the seed's one of the cheaper variants in your food plot, but to have success, the lime is by far the cheapest and the most insurance on your plot. I don't know why guys skip a soil test. It's the cheapest insurance that there is, to get it right the first time. You know, it's cheaper
right from the start.
It's
right from the
cheaper
start.
than a bag of fertilizer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and like I said, you go out and the guys that don't do that, their whole food plot dies. Now they're out all of that money. Everything they put into that food plot is gone. And also what it took was to done a soil test, see where you're at, see if you need to add lime. Yep, and get it done. And there you go. And then, like you said, it gives you a little bit more reassurance that plot, as long as we get rain and you know it's getting plenty of moisture, that plot's probably going to thrive and do real well.
Yeah, and you'll waste your fertilizer if your lime ain't right, because your plant can't absorb the fertilizer. So you're losing out your fertilizer.
Just it. If your pH isn't right, all the fertilizer in the world's not going to do anything for you but sit in the dirt.
Yeah,
away.
because it won't be able to suck it into its plant. Won't be able
and
to
I've seen the guys, and I've seen the guys going trying to save their food plots too, and then they start pouring the fertilizer to them and just burn it right up. And it's like, oh, there you did kill it. It's done. So. No, it's good that soil test is a must do right from jump. Like I said, just not a good one to skip on and think. Just because your soil looks good doesn't mean anything. And like I said, my boy got a schooling in that here this last year on, oh God, thought that soil looked great and didn't even really think that I don't need to do a soil test. It's got to be good, rich soil, and it wasn't.
Nope. Yeah, we did see the test.
We did that one time with Egyptian wheat screening. We screened off an area the previous year, and we came back in and killed that screening all under, and it was black as coal. And we thought, wow, that would be great. But when we soil tested it, same thing. It wasn't up to par, but it was beautiful and black. So
Speaking of Egyptian wheat, I forgot to throw that one out there too. We do have Egyptian wheat, so that's another one. And that's a spring plant. This stuff can get anywhere from 8 to 12 foot tall, depending on how well you're caring for it. Again, how much moisture it's getting, if we're getting plenty of rain and or if you can irrigate and things like that. We got a lot of guys buy this and do exactly that, Chris, setting it up for screens so they can get in and out, put it along their food plot in the woods so they can cut between the woods and the food, or in the Egyptian wheat, and get into their stand without the deer that are in the food plot seeing them.
Screening's one of my favorite things for plots. Mm-hmm. I like to totally encase a plot in screening and make divides and things in there. I like to bend a wall or divert deer, because they don't always walk through it, especially if you have it planted wide enough. For some reason, they don't like to go through it so much. So if you bend that or put a screen wall towards a stand, they'll walk the outside edge of it, and you can divert those deer right past your stand.
Yep. Make a little trail, make a trail through it for them, honestly, because deer are lazy. They don't like to work. You all know that. They'll take the route of least resistance. So then you can kind of, like you said, Chris, you can kind of steer them where you kind of want them to go, and where you can set your stand up so that when hunting season rolls in, it's like, okay, these deer are using that little trail that I built for them.
Yeah.
Coming into this food plot.
A couple of years ago, across the road, I weed whacked a lane just wide enough for a deer to fit through, and they started using it. and I got the bright idea. I put a rub tree right there.
Mm-hmm.
I cut down a small oak and got a post hole digger and dug a hole, and I planted that sucker down in there and tamped it in real good. And man, the last week of October, first week of November, they tore that up. But it was like a, I don't know, it was double trouble, man. They had that lane to get in there through that wheat, Egyptian wheat, and they had that rub tree. It was just an on fire spot. Really.
Another good thing though with that, breaking up your food plot, like we have a 2-acre plot down there that's wide open right now. Okay, well, if a buck's checking a field or looking in a field, that buck can come out to the edge of the woods, scan that whole field, not see a doe, and leave. So he's off your property or he's out of that area. You break stuff up so he can't see that. He got to travel more.
He's got to be on your property longer that way.
Yes.
Yep.
He'll spend more time searching and looking.
Yep. Basically that. You're setting the path up for him that you want him to follow, and they will if you make it easy for them, and they're going in there for a reason, for food, for does, for whatever, then they're going to follow those little paths of least resistance that you've created for them, and then hopefully you can get a tree stand. Honestly, I mean, that's part of it too. And I'm the same way when I set up like that. Like even with my mock scrapes, I know kind of where the deer are going to be coming into that. Or if it's a brand new mock scrape, I'll learn through my videos and that I'm getting off in there where the deer are generally coming in from every time. And then it gives me a little heads up onto it. Okay, I don't need to actually hunt right over top of that mock scrape. I can go 50 yards away on this main run that's coming in and out of that mock all the time. So you're kind of steering those deer and kind of stacking the odds in your favor a little bit anyways, if that deer's going to follow the main route that he's been following. And all I need to do now is get in there with a stand without him knowing it, and I'll be in pretty good business.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. So what I wanted to do real quick, Shawn, and you can stop me and correct me. I'm going to go through. I got your website up here right now, and I'm going to just go through. I know you were talking about some spring seed right here, but I'm going to just read off the list for everybody just to hear it.
Yep.
And I don't know which one. I know you said the switchgrass was the one that's discontinued, but do you still have the seclusion, the sorghum, and Sudan grass? Do you still have that?
Yeah, that's our Egyptian wheat, our sorghum, which we call it's called seclusion, Egyptian wheat sorghum.
Yeah,
is what it is.
Yep. Okay. So
now
go ahead.
What were we just talking there? The other one you just said, the switchgrass. That's the hideout.
Mm-hmm.
So we got 4 bags of that left. So for guys that are interested, like I said, Ted, we'll work out a price with you if you're wanting a couple bags. So
that's fine.
But that's our hideout.
Yeah. So we got sweet beets. You have sweet beets, plain sweet beets in there. You got the triple X. You got the double X woodland forage mix. You have 4 bags of that hideout. You got the seclusion, which is the sorghum and the Sudan grass. Then you got the rack exploder, the extreme perennial, the X20 perennial plot, and then the wildlife turnips. Is that all that you have, or do you have any more? That's everything on your website. Did you add anything this year? Anything, Shawn?
No, we did. Nope, we didn't.
Okay.
No.
All right, cool.
So how many's that? That should be 8 or 9.
8, 9. Yes, 9. It'll be 8 if you take out the hideout. If you're not doing the hideout, you'll have 8 different blends. So guys, I encourage you guys.
And just like we did with you, we can do custom orders, specialty orders. So
that's what I was
just because we're going to discontinue the hideout switchgrass doesn't mean you can't get it from us. That it'll just take messaging me or calling me or Don and saying, hey, I know you guys aren't selling it anymore, but I would like a bag of that switchgrass. So we can, on something like that, on a custom order, the switchgrass is fine because we can buy it in any amounts because it's just a singular seed.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing mixes, now like our extreme that's got the clover, the alfalfa, and the chicory, all 3, they mix it for us. So we're required 100 pounds is minimum that they'll do for it. They're not going to mix it if we're they're not going to mix this mix for $10 and say, there you go, here's your 2 pounds of seed that you wanted, So any seed that is a singular seed, like our Egyptian wheat, our sweet beets, our turnips, those like that, we could get those. Like you wanted, Ted, you wanted
Mhm.
clover, so we could order you 3 separate clovers. If we'd have had them mix that for us, then we'd
I
have to
have to get
charge you
100
more
pounds.
for it.
Yep. No,
Yeah,
I
yep.
get
You'd
that.
have to got 100 pounds, and you'd have to buy the whole 100 pounds. But because it's a
Yep.
singular seed,
Yep.
it makes it easy for them. They can just weigh out what they need of each, and then you'll have to just mix it on your own.
Yeah, and that's another thing, guys. Like, I encourage you guys to go over to the website. They don't just have scent; they have plot seed. They have minerals. They have apparel. You know, they have spices. They also have some. You know, you have the gadgets and stuff with your dab holders and things like that. Your drag rags and all that. Your ropes. So go over and check them out. It is truly a one-stop shop for all of that. So go check that out. And if you do want a special mix, like Shawn said, I talked to Shawn and said, hey, I want a couple different clovers. They worked with me. Even if they don't have it or don't know about it, like you told me, Shawn, if you got something and you're interested in it, call Shawn.
We can get it.
Or email me and we'll get a hold of Shawn, and Shawn will say, yeah, he'll go get it for you. But like he said, with that 100 pound, if you're mixing, you know, you got to do the 100 pounds. But if you're buying single seed, and you can do that, buy the single seed and mix it yourself, and then you're good to go. You know what I mean? So definitely he can get you just about any seed you want.
Yeah, pretty much. If it's a seed that grows in North America, we can get our hands on it. So, I mean, I don't even want to begin to look at how many actual seeds that the company we go through have, but it's hundreds and hundreds of different kinds. I mean, literally it is. So another one I'll bring up too, which is a new one that we may end up looking into. I just don't know how well, if people are really interested in them either. They're called, it's a hog nose turnips.
Yeah, I've never heard of them.
And they get really super big. I never heard them either. And they had a picture up of a kid holding one up over there. And I was like, man, what are those? And she goes, oh, those are our hog-nosed turnips. And I was like, oh my God, those things are huge. And she's like, oh yeah. So something like I said, we were talking about introducing another seed blend this year, but then we decided, you know what, let's just run with what we got. We've got pretty much everything covered. And we'll do custom orders for people if they want something that we don't actually carry in stock. Like I said, we can get you anything. So, so not even an issue there. Just because you see it on our website doesn't mean that we can't get it. We can get it. Anything you want. So just let us know what you want. We can get a price on it and get back with you and let you know all the ins and outs, what the total cost and that'll be with shipping and all, and we can get you out anything you want.
Cool. Now, Shawn, when you bag these up, because you've had some videos of you bagging it yourself, personally putting them together, these seeds, do you put any special you have any secret ingredients you add that you would like to tell us, or you do have secret ingredients that you would like to not tell us?
We add absolutely nothing to our seed. We take our seed right from the mill and right from our seed supplier, and that's what it is. We bag it up, and we do it all. We lay the bags out, we stick the labels on them, and then we fill them up, weigh them up, get them to the proper weight, and then we seal them, heat seal them. So that's it.
I thought you was going to say you packed them with love.
Yeah, no, I didn't know if you used it on.
We do that as much as possible.
I just wanted to ask you that because I didn't know if you added anything in, like, you know, there's coated seeds, there's non-coated seeds, and then there's inert matter that's in a lot of these bags that you're buying that are like 4, 5, 7,
and they all
12%.
do. It don't matter. Yep, and it don't matter what company you go through, seed company. Some are, it does, I guess, because some are worse than others.
Yeah.
So like inert matter on, let me look at this one. Weed seed, let's see where we're at. Inert matter. This contains 0.33% of inert matter.
Yeah.
So less than 0.5%.
Yeah.
And that's pretty standard with all of our seed. They're really good over there. They got a nice clean, you don't get the noxious weeds, and they pretty much, they clean their seed up pretty good. So you're pretty much all of our seed, everything that you're getting to us on our seed is like right here. This is our X20 and it's 98% pure.
Yo, Theo.
Cool. There's my son.
What's up, bud?
Hello.
How you doing?
What's up, Theo?
That's Shawn. You know Shawn from Jinx'Em. They're saying hi to you.
Yeah, so like I had a guy get all over me one time about the seed blend that I use, and he was like, "Well, turn over your bucket and look at it, and it's got all this coating on it." I said, "Yeah, well, that's just stuff added to it to ensure
Pappy
that you're
said
going to
hi to
have
you.
success." You know, I
Yep.
mean,
Well, when you go buy field corn, look what the farmers buy for field corn. That stuff's pink
yeah,
because it's been run through. Basically, it's what they've done to that is just a treatment that helps them to germinate quicker and kind of gives them that boost, that jump start.
Gotcha.
So in some seed companies may do that, you know, but like I said, the seed that we have, we're real. We got a really good company that we go through. I think our germination rate. Let me see on this if I can find it on here. Maybe not. Yeah, the printing is too small, and I'm half blind, so I
I
can't
know.
hardly see.
That's my issue too. Don't worry.
yeah. I mean, that seed don't have to be coated. There's a lot of hard seed out there that's fine for spreading. I mean,
Yeah. Now let me ask you this. That brings up a question that I wanted to ask you guys. We're just gonna jump. Do you think you hear that stuff with the food plot seed? Okay, when you're frost seeding. Okay,
right.
coated seed as opposed to hard seed. I hear everywhere people like the hard seed. They don't really want a treated seed or a hard coat seed because they want it to absorb the moisture and start popping quicker when you're frost seeding. If you have it coated, does that like prolong the life of it where it won't pop for you till later, or how does that work?
You know, I'm not going to BS you on that. I really don't know, Ted. To be honest
Yeah.
with you, I would think as long as it's good seed, and honestly, that coating, I would think maybe, and this is just a guess, in the springtime would be like you're frost seeding, we could still get snow. In that ground, that's the whole idea behind frost seeding. It doesn't matter if you get a little bit of snow because you actually want that ground to freeze and thaw and freeze and thaw and freeze and thaw because that's what helps to pull that seed into the ground. I would think maybe, and this is just a guess, and again, don't quote me on this, but I guess the way that I would look at it is that if that coated seed stayed on the top of the ground too long and it got snowed on and it wasn't getting pulled in, I would honestly think that would probably get somewhat washed off with just by being weathered, So how good that really matters if it's coated. Now, if you're drilling like they do with corn, you're drilling seed into the ground. So a little bit different there, because it's getting protected by the ground and that's going to stay right there, even if the moisture's coming through. But I would just guess it's sitting on top of the ground that it probably, if it sat there too long, it wouldn't make a difference whether it was coated to begin with or if it was just good hard seed to begin with.
Yeah, I don't think it would matter. I really don't. The only thing I think it really matters is you got to get that good soil contact. Like you were just saying with the wash off, like if you don't get soil contact and it's sitting on top, not only is that seed unprotected and not getting sucked down quick enough, but you're going to get predation from birds and things grabbing them, I made the mistake years ago when I started doing this frost seed and stuff. I used to just, a lot of oak and maple leaves hitting the dirt from the fall before. And I thought I was just going to go out there and sling seed and didn't realize that all my seed was landing on top of the leaves. And it was either getting washed or eaten by birds. It wasn't hitting the dirt. And I had very poor germination. So I actually started raking my plots and using a leaf blower and blowing them all off and raking all the debris off so that I made sure that I had the best contact I could. And obviously, it's a no-brainer, but I didn't know back then. I mean, knowledge is key. I mean, that's why we do stuff like this for education purposes. There's a lot of first-timers that might be watching this right now wondering how to do this.
Well, that's what our next thing is, Chris. I want you to explain exactly how you do it and then how Shawn, and we can explain to the people. So since you're talking about it, Chris, go ahead.
So this is what I do.
Real quick before you get rolling there, Chris. That's just one step I left out on our stuff. After you broadcast that over over your bare soil, we recommend that you roll it in. And guys, I got guys that'll drive over it with their quad runners. They'll use a lawn roller. They'll drive over it with their vehicles. I mean, literally pressing that seed so that's getting that good seed to soil contact. So, all right, Chris, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. So what I do is if I'm thinking about frost seeding, I've already last year established clover or chicory with it. And I always am looking forward. So like what I'm doing this summer coming is going to benefit me next spring. I'm always looking ahead. What I always do was something on the tail of something from last year. So what I'm going to be frost seeding this year, obviously I already planted it last year, have it established. I'm going to go in and I'm going to rake and leaf blow everything down and get it as low as possible, even if you have to mow it or weed whack it or whatever you got to do. Get it as low as you can, expose that dirt. And this week, next week, and a couple of weeks here on out, I'm going to save mine till second week of March, third week of March, probably. But
we're doing ours.
In a lot of places right now is perfect, especially if you're a little bit south of us, because we're going to have some weather yet. So some of these places down south though, like Maryland or whatever, they're ready to roll right now, you know.
Well, that's what you don't want to do, Chris. You don't want to put that seed in too early. You get that warm weather and your seed pops and it starts growing. Then you get that freeze and it just busts every molecule and cell in that plant and they die.
I don't want to do that. And the reason being is what you just said. And also you have more chance of getting too wet. You know, maybe it'll get flooded at this point, because we're going to get a lot of rains right now too. Like today, it rained.
Springtime.
It got over a quarter inch of rain just today. You know, I like to call it mud season. I don't call it spring, but I go in, rake it up, blow off the leaves, whatever I got to do, expose that dirt. And when you get these thawing, sunny days and you know it's going to freeze at night, that is prime time, especially if you can string a week, maybe 2 weeks in a row like that, where it's going to do that every day. And I would suggest doing it when it's drier, like during the heat of the day, to throw the seed down, and then let it at night, those cracks and crevices, let it suck it down in. I don't like to do it so much in the morning time, because if it's still frosty and wet, it'll stick to stuff. I like to do it when it's dry. That way it falls into the cracks. And then when the freezing and the heaving of the ground starts, listen, I'm all passionate about it. My hands are
I can see that.
I got to do this.
I'm ducking. I'm moving and ducking here. You're throwing your hands up, and I'm moving and ducking over here.
Look out! He's whack.
But that's my thing, man. I get passionate about it, but that's the best time to do that. And
good, you can come down and do mine now.
so and I get questions like this too. People text me and say, "Hey, should I be throwing fertilizer and lime down with this?" Right now, no. Don't do any of that stuff at this point in time. You can address that later, you know. For now, just get the seed down. And if you already have, if it's an existing plot, you should already have all that information, and it should be on point, because you should have taken care of all that last fall and had that soil tested and the pH done, and the fertilization should be there. And if it's a clover plot, you know, you don't need, if it's established already, you've got roots with the nodules on it that's already producing nitrogen, so you're not going to have to add nitrogen type fertilizer.
Heavy nitrogen.
That's a big question too, guys. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys that are saying, "Well, what kind of nitrogen am I throwing on my clover?" I'm like, dude, if you've got established clover growing already, you're not needing to add the nitrogen right now.
You're feeding your other plants if you mix it. You know what I mean? That nitrogen's feeding your other plants.
And you know, your P and K. I mean, the K is real important too. When you get these, your K is like antifreeze for your plant. You know how you just said, Ted,
Yeah.
about a small plant and it's tender,
Freezing and yeah.
and then it freezes and the cells expand and
Oh,
explode basically.
mhm,
That K helps that not to explode. I
mhm.
don't know if you ever heard that before.
You told me
but
that before for sure. Yeah.
the K will actually help protect that tender small plant from exploding cells and destroying itself.
Mhm,
I just learned that 2 years ago, and I thought, man, that is interesting.
mhm.
And that is one little tip that somebody should know. Hopefully someone's listening that can gain that knowledge right there. I mean,
Mhm.
that was a cool tip I heard. So I wanted to share that too.
Now that nitrogen that clover's putting in the ground, is that why chicory and clover go so well? Because that nitrogen is helping the chicory out,
I would
Chris? Or
say
how?
so.
Yeah.
I would
Yep.
say so. I mean,
Yeah.
you just can't go wrong with clover, and you know, even if you're gonna disc that back up and put something in,
Mhm,
it's gonna feed the next planting, and
mhm,
like Shawn was saying earlier about the small radishes and things that were already in the dirt, like
mhm.
when they rot up, that's feeding your next plot too. And
Yeah.
then
Yep.
if you've got carryover nitrogen from clover on top
Mhm.
of that, man, you've got a complete plot as long as your
Yeah.
pH is great.
And
You
that
know,
saves on fertilizer and stuff. You might
oh
not need to
yeah,
add as much as
Oh
that.
yeah.
You know?
I
and
was
I'll
I
tell
was
you,
going to throw that in there too. That's it. That clover is just enhances the growth of like
sure,
our extreme that's got the alfalfa and the chicory in it, but it's also got that clover which is producing lots of nitrogen. So
Mhm.
that's just like
sure.
Chris was saying. That's just super for that whole food
Oh
plot.
yeah,
Yeah. And like
you're
me,
just feeding it. You're just feeding it, and you're not paying $38 a bag for fertilizer. You
yeah.
know,
Yep.
a perfect example of that is across the road at my destination plots there. Um, that was horse pasture for 20 years,
Mhm.
and I turned it into food plots. Now it was very bad at first, but after 3 years of paying attention to my soil tests and amending that every year and building soil different ways, keeping the fertilization on point. I had a lime truck come in and spread ag lime instead of pelletized lime.
Mhm.
Uh, Over a 3 year period, I had that to the point where last year I didn't have to add anything except starter fertilizer when I planted my fall plot.
And that's
Yep.
one of
Yep.
the issues that I have down there. Where my dad's plot is fine because we've been at that for a few years, so that thing is pretty good. We add 3 bags of lime in his quarter-acre plot, and he's good to go.
Mm-hmm.
To get that up around that 6.5 to 7 area. You know what I mean? Now he's still going to do his soil samples again this year again. You know, like
Yeah, I
every
do them
year.
every year.
Yeah, and he's always been a stickler with that, and I agree with that. But
See,
we have
and Penn State Labs tells you only have to do it every 3 years.
yeah. Well, down there
I even use Penn State
we use Penn
tests,
State too. Yeah, but
and I've
go
argued
ahead.
with the guy on the phone. I'm like, dude, I do this every year. He's like, you really don't have to. I said, I want to know what it is.
Yeah.
I'm the
Right.
one
And how
paying
many of
for this
those
crap.
in how many of those years, Chris, then have you come in on your like from your first to your second, did that soil test for the second, go, God, I need to add more lime.
I was
Yeah.
still low.
Well, we
And
have
if I
Right.
would
strip
have
mines.
listened to
We
them,
have strip mines
you
down our
know,
place, so
And that's why we recommend you have to do that soil test. And just like you
yeah,
said, Chris, you have to do it every year because you don't know what's changed and what hasn't. I mean, there's so many different things
variables for that.
that can cause issues with your soil. Is like, you know what, I'm just for peace of mind, I'm going to
Mhm.
check that again this next spring because I want to know, because then I know, then if I'm having problems with my food plot growing and there's some issues, I can rule out that, well, it's not my pH. I'm good with my pH. So what else are we, do I need to put some potash on it? Do we need to, is my nitrogen too high? Do I need to, what's going on? So
yeah.
like I said, you just, as well as I do, every seed requires a different pH. You get, some are happy at 7, some will grow great at 5.5. You know, it just depending on the seed that you use it. And that's what, you know, for you guys that are planting these food plots too, you know, if it doesn't say on your bag what your pH needs to be for your soil, it's all over the internet. Check some YouTube videos. You can even just search it and read up on it and all that. And they will tell you, oh, you're planting sugar beets? Okay, well, the soil is going to need to be 5.7. That's where you want to be with your pH. Oh, you're going to grow clover and alfalfa. Oh, and chicory. All right, you need to be up in that 7 range. You know, so like I said, a lot of you guys, especially the new guys that are in here trying to gain knowledge, you know, just surf the internet, surf the web, soak in all that knowledge. And again, talk to guys like Chris, because honestly, this is our 3rd year with food plot seed. I am not that big food plot guru that can tell you, you know, all the ins and outs of it. I am a farm kid, so
if anybody has questions, talk to Chris or get on his channel and watch.
Yep, and that's what I was kind of going with. You know, follow guys that know. Follow and honestly, the guys that are the best are the guys that do it every year, and they've been doing it and they got a few years because they've learned from the school of hard knocks. Like, oh crap, that didn't work. So
see, and that's one of my things. Not to interrupt you, I just.
Oh no, not at all.
One of my parts of my page is the educational part, like because I'm not on screen genius. I'm better talking to someone on the phone or face to face. Like my YouTube videos aren't great, but one of the things I do is I take you step by step on how I plant something, and I show you how I do it. I tell you why I do it the way I do it, and I don't force my ways on people. I just show them how I do it, and then I show them the plot, you know, in an update video. Afterwards, after a couple months after it starts to grow, and it turns out nice, and I want them to see it, you know. Before I forget, I did want to mention this though. For the newer guys, don't forget too, when you're amending your soil with the fertilization with fertilizers, there's so many fillers and salts in those things. So like if you get your soil sample back and it tells you need 100 pounds of this and 100 pounds of that, and you're dumping all this fertilization on your plot, don't forget that all those salts and fillers actually lower your pH.
Yep.
So you're gonna have to add more lime.
So you're gonna have to fertilizer. Yeah. If I add a couple bags of fertilizer to my plots, I actually load in 1 bag of lime to 2 or 3 bags of my fertilization. I make
to
offset the lowering of your pH.
Yeah,
because someone's gonna say, you know, oh, I did exactly what my soil samples told me, and I checked my pH this year and it's low again. Well, yeah, it's gonna be because not only did you add all the salts and fillers with the fertilizer, but your plot, the actual plants actually sucked all that stuff up and used some of it. So you need to replenish it every year. And that's why it's important to do the tests every year to see what was used up and what you need to replace it with. And that's why it's such cheap insurance to do it. You know, a test to cost you anywhere between $11 and $13. You go out and dig your soil, you know, between that's everybody has their own opinion. I go anywhere from 2 inches down to 6 inches, and I take multiple spots throughout the plot and I mix it up, and I put those baggies of dirt in, and I make sure they have enough to test, and I make sure it's dry. If it's too wet, I lay it out on cardboard and let it dry. I send those suckers out. It might cost you $7 at the post office to put them all in 1 box and send them. But for $20, you're going to find out what you need and to the T. And if you don't understand how to read it, you need to get with somebody that can tell you how to read it. Because a lot of people too take the bag literally and say, oh, this is a bag of 10, 10, 10. Well, you're not really getting 10, 10, 10. That's a 5, 5, 5. Because
you're getting half of that. It goes away.
Fertilizer is based on 100 pounds. So if you want a true 10, 10, 10, you need to buy 2 bags of 10, 10, 10. Then you truly get 10 pounds of nitrogen, P, and K. 10 each. So whatever the bag says, you're only getting half of it because you're only buying a 50-pound bag.
Yeah,
so
you're
you have
getting
to remember
five.
that too.
Yep.
You know, so if they tell you need 100 pounds, well, geez, you need to buy multiple bags to get that 100 pounds. You know, so you need to get with somebody and understand that. I mean, and I'm willing to help. You know, wherever I can.
Yeah, you've helped me a lot with the questions that I've had for you and stuff like that, because we only started our deer management program about 5 or 6 years ago down at our way, and it's improved a lot. But I wanted to stress something about the lime as well, real quick here. Like me, we're going in March to frost seed. Well, we're throwing lime down. We're going to start doing that.
There's no bad time to lime.
Well, we're doing that because it takes 3 months, about 3 months for it to get in it. It doesn't instantaneously change the pH. It doesn't. So we're doing it in March. So because we don't plant summer plots. Now this main food plot is going to be our first clover plot that's be there all summer. So we're going to take care of it. We're actually not going to use granular fertilizer for this. We're using liquid fertilizer this year, so we can put it right into our plants, so we don't get the waste. It goes right into our plants, and we're going to see how that works this year. So we're going to try the liquid. I'm going to grab the IMOX, Chris. We talked about that this afternoon. I'm grabbing the IMOX, and we're going to plant the clover. We're going to let it grow 4 or 5 inches, let the weeds get up. Then we're going to go through and spray it. Then the next week we're going to go down and we're going to cut it to 5 inches, and we're going to maintain that plot all year. Let the clover flower, and then we're going to whack it down and keep it at a certain height all summer. We're going to just maintain it. We're going to cut that like we cut our lawn, cut that middle field, maintain it. And it
thickens every time you mow it. It'll thicken up.
Yeah, and I know we're not going to have this big tonnage food plot this year because it's our first time frost seed in this area. It's going to take 2 or 3 years to get maybe we're hoping it takes 2 or 3 years to get a nice lush food plot with clover. I'm hoping that a majority of it takes this year, but you're going to get some lost frost seed, and that's just the way it is. So we're going to build that through some years, but that's going to hold us to not putting in the shot, like we're using shot plots with the brassicas and the turnips and other areas. This is just our main plot to keep some deer in the area and cut costs, because next year we're going to go down, we're going to put 10 pounds of clover on it. Then the next year we don't have to buy 40 pounds of clover every year for it. So we're going to try to limit our costs with that and just have the one main food plot with clover and possibly chicory throughout the year, just throwing some stuff. But we want that to grow. And then we have shot plots. Like last year we had from Domain Seed, we had like the Big Sexy and stuff and the Green Machine and all that stuff. But this year we're going with the Jinx'Em seed in different areas. And we're going to try that out this year and see what happens. But I know the clover plot's not going to just be like, oh, clover this year. It's our test this year with the frost seeding. So
if you do everything right though, Ted, you should have a decent food plot here by the end of the summer. Should be, I would think you'd be going, oh, that's looking pretty good, And then
perennial clovers grow slow.
Yeah, and it depends. There's a couple of different clovers that grow faster, some grow slower. So that's the mix. That's what you want the mix in there for. You want the slower growing. Because the slower growing lasts longer, like the 4, 5, 6 years. The quicker growing usually lasts 3 years, 4 years. You know what I mean? So we're trying to mix it up a little bit.
Let me geek out on everybody here again real quick, because I want to hit on something you just said with liquid lime. That's a big thing right now, and you need to be careful, and here's why. It has to be a calcium carbonate to raise pH. These companies are offering these derivatives of lime that are coming from calcium chloride and other things. That's not raising your pH. That's just adding calcium to your plot. You want calcium carbonate. And when you buy a bag of lime, if you flip it over and look at the analysis on the back, it's going to say CCE. And what that means is calcium carbonate equivalent. So when you buy a bag of lime, if it's a 50-pound bag, you want to get a company that's going to give you a CCE as close to 100% as possible, which means it's pure lime.
That's good info.
Anything under 100% is not pure lime. Okay. So you're going to be getting fillers, stones, coverings, whatever. I don't know what they fill.
I see you got your pen out, so you're really into this one.
Well, yeah. While you were talking, I was writing.
I know.
I was writing, and you know why? You
I
know
know.
why I'm saying this, Ted.
I
And
know.
here's why. Here's why.
It's coming. I know.
I'm not saying. I'm not going to mention the company, but you know who I deal with.
Yeah, just don't poke your eye out with that pen, Chris.
Well,
That's all
one of their products that they just launched was
yes,
liquid
we
lime.
talked about that.
It was a liquid lime, and I was at the Harrisburg show working the booth with them.
You called me and you told me about it. And you were all fired up.
I flipped the jug over, and it's not calcium carbonate. And they have a sticker right on the jug that says raises pH. And I was like,
they're lying to us, Chris.
Did you say something? Did you say something to him?
I've said it before in lives and texted it, you know, in the comment section and things. And you know what? I'm just, that's just a product that I am not going to get behind. I cannot in good faith, you know,
you'd be lying to us
advertise for something that is not true.
Same.
Right,
I'm the same. I will not sell my soul to push somebody's product if I know it's not going to work.
Nope.
And
if they ever call me out on it, I'm going to say, sorry, guys. I mean, science proves it. I'm sorry. You know, I flipped the jug over, couldn't believe my eyes. I took a screenshot of it and everything, you know, and I was like, I cannot believe this. I haven't, like I said, I didn't spread it all around the internet or anything, but I'm saying it now to you guys and anybody that's watching. Be very careful with liquid limes. It has to be a calcium carbonate. It has to be derived from calcium carbonate, because that's what truly lime is. And that's why when you flip the bag over on a bag of lime, it says CCE, calcium carbonate equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
And you want that to be 100%?
100% or
as close as you can
above in the upper 90s, because the reason why that is because when they tell you need 100 pounds of lime and you buy
100 pounds
the bags,
of lime.
yeah, you buy 100 pounds of it, you know, in 50-pound bags.
You're short of it.
You're actually short on what they're telling you need.
So you got to do that formula then. You know what I mean?
So now you got to subtract the percentage.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying? It's not 100% to begin with. So the bag, if it's
just say it's 80% and they want 100, so you got 80 pounds instead of 100 pounds of calcium.
Yeah, if you bought two bags and it's only, if the CCE is only 80,
yeah,
and you bought two bags thinking 50 pounds each,
you're
that's
40
pounds.
You're 40 short.
You're short now.
Yeah,
on lime, because it's only 80%, not 100%.
Yeah, so then
you're not getting your full money's worth.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
they're shorting you on lime.
So if it's 100 pounds and you got 80 pounds, then you need another bag of it. So you need 3 bags to every, you know, unless it's 100%, then you can buy the bag that's, you know, like that.
You can get two. If you need 100 pounds and you get 2 50-pound bags and it's 100% already, you're good to go.
Yeah.
But all right, so let me break this down, Chris, a little bit. Kind of run a little question, because I'll play the I don't know, because I don't. So let's just say I've got a 1/4 acre. Okay. Do my soil test, and they say, okay, for your 1/4 acre, you need to put 100 pounds of lime on that. So if it's under that 100%, or like he said, down to 80. So in reality, that 1/4 acre, to get my 100% lime that I want, that they're telling me, my 100 pounds that they're telling me that I want on that 1/4 acre, I may have to dump as many as 200 pounds.
Depending on what the CCE is on the bag, on the percentage. Yep.
So if that CCE is 50%, you're then putting 200 pounds on.
Yes, you're exactly. You got it.
Okay. You just don't go buy a bag of lime and say, okay, here's 100 pounds of lime. You dump it in, I'm good.
So at your 80%, at the 80% Ted was talking, that's in 2 bags is only giving you 80 pounds per 100. So you'd only be getting 160 pounds per 200.
Yeah, so you have to buy another bag.
If you need it, you're going to have to put 2 bags and 1/3 of another one on.
I would just go with that extra bag to be more than less. You know what I mean? That's would be me with the lime, because you can never.
I just wanted to I wanted that clear. I thought I was
Yep.
getting what you were telling me, but I just kind of maybe help out people that are out there watching that are going, okay, so here's an example. Quarter acre needs 100 pounds, but I'm only 80%. I'm going to need 2 bags plus another 40 pounds or whatever, 80 pounds, whatever.
And you do have to watch that because there's places, I don't want to name any names, but there's some places that sell the lime. It's only in 40-pound bags, and it's not even 100%. So now you really got to be a mathematician.
Your math, you have to do your math to do your square roots and everything.
It's easier just to find lime that's 50-pound bags and it's 100% or 98%.
Do you have a company out there, Chris, that you know of that is 100%?
I do. It's Anderson out of Ohio.
Okay, but that's a good thing to know.
Anderson out of Ohio has 100% CCE or thereabouts on their lime, and their Anderson fertilizers that I use. Remember I was talking about salts and fillers in your fertilizers before. Yeah. They cut theirs with lime, so it's already added in, and you don't have to worry about your pH dropping
because it's already in there to
they use their filler is lime. That's cool. That is thinking.
Yeah. Now, does that mean that it costs more money for that bag of lime? That bag than it would a normal bag?
It is a little bit more pricey. I could probably find fertilizer bags cheaper, but I don't have all that
bull crap to deal with.
Yeah, all that filler crap in my fertilizer. They actually. The filler is lime.
Yeah.
So somebody over there sat down and said, "Hold on, we need to mix this so that we're actually getting our customer the 100% lime that they are wanting, instead of making them happen to buy 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10 bags or whatever. They can get away with just buying this one bag. It's 100%, and there you go."
Yep. And their fertilizer, Shawn, like he's saying, is they cut it with lime. So when you put the fertilizer in, your pH doesn't drop.
It doesn't change.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Somebody over there was thinking ahead of the time, saying, hold on, we can't have, all this other stuff is dropping our pH. So how can we offset? Well, let's offset that right here at the factory so that when it goes out the door, it's already set.
Yep.
And they have a lot of different number variations too when they're, a lot of selection, like, it's just not 10, 10, 10, 12, 12, 13, 13,
19, 19, yeah, whatever.
19. They have 5 20 20s. They have.
You see the price of fertilizer now?
0 52 13s. I mean, they got some really whack numbers out there, but
is it been coming down from what it was?
It is. It's starting to come down.
Last year it was skyrocketed. Now this year it's coming down a little bit.
The herbicides dropped big.
Mm-hmm. The IMOX is always going to be, I think, I don't want to say expensive because it's a good product, but it's up there. If you get a gallon of IMOX, it's $240.
See, what's funny about IMOX is IMOX was for ponds and lakes.
It was for water, for the green.
Water. It was for like cattails and all the grass and stuff that grows around a pond. That's how IMOX came about. And some genius out there sprayed it on their clover and it didn't die. And it was like, this stuff.
It works.
Yeah, that's what I'll be using. I'll be using that with our boom sprayer on our clover plot this year. I'm going to do IMOX 4 ounces per acre. 4 to 6 ounces. I'm probably going to go 5 ounces per acre. And then we're going to spray that because we got about 2 acres, maybe a hair shy of 2 acres. We're going to put 5 ounces in our 25 gallons and we're going to roll with it. That 25 gallons should do our acre and 2 acres.
Now, when you go to spray, Ted, if you do it in the spring when the weeds are starting, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches tops, get them early.
Yeah.
There is a certain small residual with that IMOX, so make sure you give it about a month before you ever replant or
because you can't plant right on top of it.
Yeah, you just don't want to do that.
Yeah, and I'll be getting the crop oil. We're gonna get the crop oil so it sticks to those weeds.
But I was looking at this other herbicide this last night there online, and I was thinking about purchasing it, but then I read the label on it. I got the PDF label online there, and I was reading through it, and it said that there was a 4-month wait time.
Yeah,
and I'm
you
like,
can't have
4
that.
months? Who's got 4 months to wait after they spray their weeds to plant?
No,
Yeah,
if it was on
you're
brush,
already halfway. You're already
You'll be
better than
into
halfway
archery
through
season.
the season. Right, you're halfway through the season. Or
I'm like,
Yep.
crap. The
you'd
only thing
have
you
to
can
spray
plant
that
then
now.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, dang near.
And then you have to
You
have
know.
the temperature correct.
Well, see,
for
here's
the
the
spray, too.
I was just gonna say, here's the other essential thing with herbicides. A guy commented on my video yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I had to kind of correct him. When you spray a herbicide, it has to be
50, 55.
optimal range. The lowest you can have is 50 degrees overnight.
Yeah.
It's got to be warmer than 50 for that stuff to work properly. You don't want to spray herbicide if it's going to dip below 50 at night. You want the temperatures to be above 50 at night, and then you're going to get the optimal range out of that.
That's because your plants are good in that dormancy, and it doesn't suck in that, so you're wasting your product.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So your plant does that growing but dormant, and it doesn't correctly absorb into the plant.
Yeah,
so
it's
you're
not going to
wasting a lot.
translocate to the root.
Yeah,
What's going to happen?
It'll stay up.
It's going to hit on the leaf and drop off. Get washed off.
But the root's going to come right. It's going to come right back from the root.
Yeah, it'll come back. So it won't. Like I said, it won't translocate to the root and kill it. So you got to wait till it's a little bit warmer. And everybody's got cabin fever right now. And they want to get out there and they want to sling seed. They want to spray. It's not time, guys. It's just not time. You can frost seed now, but don't be throwing fertilizer down and spraying for weeds.
I'm not taking that chance with the spray with this early in PA. I'm going to wait till like that third week of March around that, because we have a work detail. We usually have our third Wednesday of the month. We have our meeting, and then that following weekend we do the work detail. So we're going to do it then.
There's no harm, no foul if you missed the frost.
Yeah.
All you got to do is wait before it rains.
Yeah.
And put it out. I mean, there's no harm, no foul. Guys are like, is it too late to frost seed? I'm like, it's never too late to seed. As long as you got rain in the forecast, you're good to go.
You missed the actual frost seeding, but we're warm now. Get it in.
Yeah, get it in the ground. I mean, there's still cracks and crevices from the frost coming out of the ground. You're never too late for it. That's what I try to explain. There's no wrong time to lime, because you can't really hurt anything putting lime down, even over an existing plot. You can't really hurt anything. And as far as the frost seeding thing, you can't go wrong. Just get it in when you can. Just don't put it in too early. I don't like to see guys putting it in like right now here in PA where I'm at. It wouldn't be good to be frost seeding right now. I mean, we've got ice on the ground still. It's raining every day. It's just not right. Now we've got like 4 or 5 days here where it's going to be above 40 degrees, and before long, this ice and stuff's going to be gone, and it's going to get cool again. Like it's going to get down in the teens again next week, they said. So maybe next week I would feel better if people started doing it then, But I've been seeing on Facebook guys who say, "Yeah, I got my plots frost seeded today," and I'm thinking, "Oh man."
Yeah, and then they'll be the ones on there saying that the seed don't work.
The seed's junk.
Yeah.
The seed's junk. I didn't get any germination. I hate that.
Yep.
I mean,
you got germination, but then they were little dinky seedlings, and they froze because it got so cold.
Solid and broke. Yep. Now let me. I wanted to ask you guys something too. When I do this frost seeding, Chris, is it gonna? What I wanted to do was I was going to scratch it up a little bit with the disc before I planted it. Sure. Is there anything wrong with that?
Nothing wrong with it as long as you don't bury the seed.
Yep.
Don't bury it too deep.
We're going to scratch the surface with our disc, just to scratch the surface, and then we're going to throw it on.
I would just scratch it, throw the seed out, and leave it. I would.
Yeah, no weight on the disc or nothing.
Because if it's loose like that, and you roll over it or something, you bury it too deep, you're going to be one of them guys saying this seed's junk.
Yeah.
You don't want to bury it too deep.
No. Yep, for
sure.
So on a frost seeding, Chris, or even let's just say on a reseeding, even if it's past the frost seeding time, do you You said you go in, you rake it and blow it off with the leaf blower and all that. When you broadcast that seed on there, on now this is an existing plot, you don't roll that in then?
I quit using a roller, to be honest.
Okay. Even on a fresh food plot?
Yeah, I did. The only time I've been using a roller lately now, because over the years of doing this, I was burying some of my seed too deep. And the only time I would suggest doing it is if you overwork the dirt and you powdered the dirt too much and you wanted to firm it back up. And then I would spread it on top after I rolled it, and then roll it again. You can roll it again.
But if it's too soft, you bury that seed a half inch.
Oh yeah, you go out there and broadcast it, right? Broadcast it and then roll it in on that when it's all turned up and everything. You're gonna bury a bunch of that seed.
Now that's on my end though, Chris. Because I didn't roll for a while, and when we started, we got an old conveyor belt roller. My buddy down there, he welded everything on with bearings and everything on the plate and put it on the back of a hitch.
Right.
And we get better results from rolling. Like when I didn't roll it, we didn't get the results of roll. When I rolled it, that stuff came in way better. So we roll everything now.
Yeah, you can tighten it up. I just prefer not to.
No, yeah, I like the idea of, like you said, you roll it first after, then put it down.
Yeah, if you're gonna roll it again. If you're gonna roll, I think you should firm it, spread the seed, and then
roll it again,
and then pack it.
Gotcha.
Because
makes sense. Makes sense.
Well, I made the mistake. I get a little overzealous, and I overwork the dirt in the powder, and I was spreading the seed and rolling it, and then it was getting real spotty on me.
Yep, just pushing it right down in because the soil's too soft.
Yeah. Even my 4-wheeler tracks was pushing it down too deep, So I became wise to that real quick after you start spending money.
Yeah. And you can tell too when you drive your quad over the dirt. If you got a rut in there from your tires, it's soft. You know what I mean?
Pretty much. If you wearing sneakers or boots and you if you get a full footprint, you may have overworked the dirt.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to tell, by stepping in it. And if you go down an inch or two, then you're gonna have issues.
If you go down past what would be your rubberized sole on your shoe, if you go past that sole
too deep,
it's probably
too and you'll be able to feel the sponginess in that soil too, and go, "Whoa, geez, I'm sinking right into this." So I got to roll this before I broadcast any seed, or I'm just kind of wasting a bunch of seed.
Now we have a tiller, Chris, and we have a disc. Okay, we use the tiller to open up new ground when we want to extend our food plots. But I try not to use that tiller every year because you don't want to break that crust to lose all that. You know what I mean? They say if you keep tilling that area, that you can actually damage your crust in your soil, and you could actually start losing your nutrients going too deep into the ground and fertilizer going too deep. Is that why they say don't rototill every year in the same area?
Well, that's more for compaction. If you get too much compaction, then you can actually dig up some of your seedlings and see, instead of having a root ball that the roots are growing straight down, you'll see that they'll go out and they'll spread.
That means it gets too compact for it. They can't break through that crust.
Yeah.
So what you'll need to do is really go in there and bust it up. Like I have cultivators behind the tractor. If I start getting too compacted, I'll take them cultivators and go 8 inches deep.
How do you know that you're compacted? Just from the root, or is there another way to tell? Or you got to look at your plant and see how they're growing?
It depends too. Like you can take a shovel and you can actually dig down and check it out for yourself if you got a lot of clay or anything like that.
I was going to say soil types are going to be, each soil type is going to compact differently. Like back home where I'm from, is a lot of clay, and that stuff, especially when it dries, that stuff's hard as looks like a rock. I mean, literally, you can't even dig in it.
I would sink a shovel in the ground about how deep you think your roots are going to be in that area, the root zone, like 4 inches or so.
Yeah.
And take a handful of that dirt and squeeze it. And if it doesn't turn
Stay
into
together.
a mud pie
Mhm.
and it just falls apart,
Yeah.
you know,
You're good.
you're probably good.
Okay.
Yep.
But if you squeeze that into a mud pie, that's a little tight. That's a little tight. You might want to get in there and bust that up a little bit, you know.
Gotcha.
But yeah, overworking the field too will compact it. I got to watch because I got a full size farm tractor. If
Mhm.
I start overworking it, and I can tell because when I'm going back and forth, if I see my topsoil flying across the field in the wind, I've overworked that. I don't want to
Gotcha.
see dirt flying behind me. You know, I want to
Mhm.
be working the dirt, but it's staying in the field
Yeah.
because you literally lose topsoil. It's blowing across the field. You know, you gotta be wary of that too.
Well, you're losing moisture out of that soil pretty good too by doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when you're
take it.
basically aerating it and putting that air in there, it's
Yep.
drying the
Yep.
soil up. Then you have
Yep.
like a stagnant, like dry desert basically in there, you know, and your seeds can't
Yep.
flourish in there. So you do want to have some moisture, but you don't want to have too much moisture. There's
Not
like a
only
fine.
that, not only that, but you're pulling up all that weed seed and extra stones you got to go back and pick up.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean,
I'll never stop pulling stones from the
well,
damn
you got
food
to
plot.
figure though all the weed seed and that weed bank in there. You know, I mean, the more you work it, that's why I say just scratch the top. You'll be
Yeah.
good. Just
Yeah,
scratch the
that's
top.
why I like the disc now. Like after we worked my dad's soil for 5 years, and we started discing it, it gets it's soft enough now. We can put the disc through it first, scratch it up. But we were looking to put a little bit of weight on it because we have the disc with the teeth, so we want to get it up. But just half inch, an inch, we want to scrape that up just to get that over. But the new plot from the weeds and everything growing, you don't want to just scratch that because that's just gonna weed up again for you. So we like to plow it, till it and get that up. And I have not used a herbicide on our food plots in 5 years. I'm telling you the truth. Like, ask my dad. My dad's like, we got to spray. I'm like, nope, we're not spraying nothing. We're just putting it. We're gonna till it. We're gonna run it off. We're gonna scrape it off with the bed springs and all that stuff, and get all that top weed stuff off, and then plant it. And we've been really lucky. Now, can we improve that? Yes, and that's why budget allows this year for us to buy some of the weed killer and stuff. So we are going to do that. But over the years starting out, I mean, we're a small club. We have 10 guys. We're small. So every dollar matters to us. You know what I mean? So this year, we're going to try to get the IMOX. We're going to do that. We're going to mess with that. And that way, that'll save us money in the long run, so we could spend more money on the shot plots and those.
Yeah, I mean, you can go in a backpack sprayer and spray that all off instead of spending money on fuel and running the tiller.
Yes, you can actually walk through it and do. And my dad's 1/4 acre, shot plot, and I could do that in a couple hours, spraying it out. You know what I mean? So there's other ways to save money on it, but we're on a pretty tight budget for our camp. We raise money every month for our deer management program.
Yeah, but think about it. You're going to spend $66 on that jug of IMOX, and between fuel and oil and everything, you're going to blow more than that. Trying to worry about mowing these weeds and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can just spray it and be done. Now, I mean, not everybody. It's the herbicide's not for everybody. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that don't want to use it.
I prided myself on that. Yeah, I tried it on
possible. Really.
I tried too, because I believe that herbicide getting into that dirt, it does something to the dirt itself. I don't care what they say about it. If it hits dirt, it goes stagnant. There's still the residual in that filler or whatever that has in it. It's going to affect that soil. So,
they've done these studies on glyphosate. I mean, they say, it neutralizes when it hits the dirt, but that's so untrue. They've done studies where it gets into the plants and into the soil. The animals eat the plants and the minerals from the soil. They tested the deer meat. It shows glyphosate. And then you're going to be eating it. You're going to be ingesting glyphosate.
Yeah, so you're sort of contradicting the natural.
All these companies out here, all this food's full of glyphosate. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, you see people
using one of the worst ones.
Mm-hmm.
Roundup Ready corn. Well, they're spraying Roundup right on your freaking corn.
Yeah.
Same with the soybeans. They're spraying it right on it. They're telling you they are. They're telling you
it's all treated.
Ready. Yeah.
Yep, all treated, ready to go.
Now, how do you rinse that off before you eat it? You don't.
No.
You can't because it's inside of it.
Yeah.
That's what your liver's for.
Then
to
it's
separate
inside
that.
of you.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure. For sure.
Hey, my liver
No.
has enough trouble with my tequila sunrises. I don't
There
need
you
to
go.
add anything else to it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all good information. Like people don't understand that we're hunting that. I'm glad we don't use it. You know what I mean? But we're going to try to go with the liquid fertilizer this year on the food plot, and we're going to try to get the IMOX and do that for the first time this year. But I prided myself on that.
I don't know at all, Ted, but I mean, I'm a good source. I mean, I'm an underused source, actually.
See, maybe we have to get Chris up to the farm in April and do our big seminar with us.
Geez, I would love that, but yeah. Michigan's kind of far.
Mm-hmm. No, that would be cool. But yeah,
that would be cool though. I would love to collaborate with you on that. That would be great.
For sure. Or we could do some live streams on Jinx'Em Sense too, because those guys over there want to know that too. Chris is a great source for that, Shawn, for sure.
Good to know. Good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I can.
Sure.
If I don't have the answer, I can find it for you.
Yeah.
I could be that honest, like you said earlier. I won't BS you. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been. If I don't know the answer, I'm gonna tell you I don't know. But let me do some digging and let me see what I can find out for you.
That makes me wonder, Chris. That makes me wonder, Chris, about I'm gonna say it, no BS, but you know what I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. But yeah. It's
well, the problem is that when you get somebody on the other end that actually knows and they're listening to you run your mouth and they're like, this dude is an idiot, he don't even know what he's talking about. And it's like, so rather than do that, I'm going to tell you I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want anybody to ever say that about me. I don't want them to say Chris is full of bull. I mean, I've been doing it long enough, and
I've taken a lot of great info from Chris. I'm telling you, over the years.
I get a lot of people texting me and asking me questions, and I get good feedback that what I've told them was correct or it worked for them. So I feel confident giving people advice. And like I said, if I don't feel confident, I'll just tell them I don't know, and I will get back to you. I mean, because there's still a lot of things I've never planted. I've never planted like triticale. I've never planted like lab stuff. There's some stuff that I never planted. I tried switchgrass here one time, and it failed miserably.
Yep.
There's
it does, honestly. Switchgrass fails for a lot of people. It really does. I mean, there's a lot more involved than just going out and clearing the ground and throwing that switchgrass seed out there. Like, oh, here we go. It's going to go. I actually watched the video today. The guy was showing he was doing a consult on a piece of property, and that's what that guy had done. Is he had put in some switchgrass, and there was clumps of it here and there. It was all spread out and broke all up, and he kind of recommended, unless you really know what the hell you're doing, and you've got a specific area that you want to get that switchgrass into, it's probably best off just to not even worry about switchgrass because, like I said, it's like he said, for one, it's very expensive. And it's just a harder one to grow and to get to do what you want it to do.
Well, especially from the seed, Chris, like switchgrass from the seed is, I'm going to say close to next to almost impossible to grow. I mean, you can grow some of it, but a lot of people are going to the plugs. You can buy the plugs, which is way more money when you're buying the plugs and you're putting plugs in the ground that are 4, 5, 6 inches. That's expensive.
I tried it out here behind camp, and it came up and then disappeared.
Yeah.
And then I went ahead and just disked it and put.
What about Miscanthus grass? I see that all over the internet. Miscanthus.
We got that up to the farm. If you're interested in Miscanthus, the boy ordered in about, I don't even know, 100,000 tubes. So if anybody's interested in any of that, I can get you some of that too from my boy. He ordered in a bunch of it.
Cool, because that's supposedly the next best thing. You know what I mean?
It's like your Egyptian wheat, your elephant grass. But that Miscanthus, that actually spreads.
Yeah, well, that's like the stuff I have in my my pampas grass in the yard. It looks exactly like that. My dad and I were talking. We have a bunch of that around the camp down there.
I'm like, Dad,
let's go break it up in 4s and go move it around and see if it grows up there. You know what I mean?
You can propagate it like that.
Yep,
for sure.
I tried that switch out here, and it didn't do crap the first year. But I didn't do like simazine spray or anything. I just made sure I had a dead zone. I spread it, and it came up and disappeared. And then I disked it and put in Egyptian weed anyhow. And then the next year when I disked it, it came up. It came up, and it's a couple feet tall, but it's just a one strip. It like got washed off to the side, and
Yeah.
now I got this.
But
I
it
got this
took
strip.
like, but it
It
took
looks
like a
dumb.
year to, but it took like a year to catch on. It's weird.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
like a
that gets you,
mohawk out there.
it gets you into a whole nother realm though of spending, a whole nother weed killer, a whole nother fertilizer, a whole nother
Simazine,
thing.
you know,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah, you can go nuts. It's like you're a lab rat. You know what I mean? You're like a.
But once you get it
Yeah.
figured out, I mean,
Yeah,
there's
you're right.
people,
You're
there's
right.
people that are real successful at it.
Well, look at
But
Chris Brackett, and that's one guy that I follow a lot and watch, and I
yeah,
get a lot of advice from him. He grows muscanus and switchgrass like it's grown out of style, and I don't know how he does it.
yeah, I don't.
I don't know how he does it.
Of course, they're in a different zone than we are, you know, and
Yeah,
I think
a lot of it's maintenance too. You know, staying on top of it and seeing what it's doing and knowing what you need to do to it to help it, or you know, whatever. So I think a lot of it is time. You know, if you got the time to invest into, or like, hey, I'm retired, I'm growing these food plots, and I'm gonna, you know, we don't get any rain. I have no way of irrigating. Guess what? I'm gonna go buy me a big old 500-gallon tub. I'm gonna hook up a freaking pump to it, and I'm going to go out and spray my food plot when it's dry, when it needs water. So, I mean, the guys, it's just like my boy on his farm. He's all irrigated. So, you know, when we don't get any rain, he's got a big pond there. He just starts sucking water out of the pond and watering his trees, his pumpkins, his strawberries, and, you know, and all that. So, but like I said, a lot of guys that don't have access to that, you can, you know, you can pick up those, you know what I'm talking about, those big white tubs there. They come in like the metal cage, the metal cages. Yeah, you can literally, purchase one of those, get a pump. You can buy pumps pretty cheap too. Hook that right up to there. I mean, if you need to, as long as you can drive into your food plot and pull that 500 gallons of water along with you. I mean, some of those guys, like, you know what, I'm willing to do that rather than lose everything that I put into my food pot. You know, I'm going to do what I need to do to get water out there. And that's me and my boy were actually talking that the other day. He's like, God, you could actually, those guys that are letting their food plots die, especially these guys that you got a quarter-acre food plot, you know, or you did a half acre, you know, and there's a lot of them that do just a couple small plots like that every year. Spend the money, buy it, get one of them used totes, 500 gallons. Buy yourself a little trash pump or a little whatever kind of pump that you can get that'll work, and there you go. Freaking
last year I have a Tractor Supply 210-gallon. It's for a pickup truck. It slides in the bed. The wheel wells, 210-gallon, and on the front of it is a big spout. Well, you can take like a swimming pool hose. And I put the tote in the bed of the truck, put a hose off of the spout, and I got PVC and made a T.
Like a boom.
Yep, made a boom out of PVC and drilled holes in it. And I turn that spout on and I drive away with it. And it just trickles out, you know. And that's how I watered the stuff last year.
You know, and with me with that too, Chris, and I get nervous about driving over the stuff that's growing already. I can't. It just drives me nuts to see these people with the tracks and they say it pops right back up. Like when I'm putting liquid fertilizer on or something this year, it's going to drive me nuts to drive over the clover that's growing. It's just going to drive me nuts. I don't know why, but
the clover's real resilient. The
it'll take it.
You can get away with it in the brassicas when they're younger, with the 4-wheeler tires. But like stuff like buckwheat and things like that.
Yeah, you're breaking that stock and it's done.
You're breaking the stock on that stuff. You know, but the brassicas will bounce back up if they're younger. I wouldn't recommend driving over them if they're a foot tall. But it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. I'd rather I got to get my drone, my DJI drone with like a gallon of water on it. I don't think it'll lift it though, but you can buy one of them drones to go over. But we don't have big food plots. We have a 2-acre food plot's our biggest.
So this driving you nuts, is it a short drive?
Yeah. But I just I can't see me driving over a food plot that I planted and watch it grow and then
No,
drive
I hear
through
you.
it, man.
I
It's
hear
just
you.
like, and then I'll be over there trying to help it up. And I don't like it. I don't like it. But
That's
we'll
when you
see
put
this
on
year.
the backpack sprayer and go out there.
And that's what I think. I don't know if I'm doing 2 acres with a backpack sprayer though. Now my dad's acre, my shot plot, his shot plot, and you've seen it in my videos all the time. We have apple trees there. We have pear trees. My dad planted chestnut trees that are doing awesome. You should see around our house the chestnut trees. We have 4, I think 3 or 4 big ones. They're taller than a house now, and they laid the chestnuts down, man. I mean, they're eating the heck out of them. And my dad planted some up by his spot. And we're thinking about buying some more trees because it doesn't hurt to have that soft mass in with the food plots as well. Because you see the videos where they get them deer go over and make that scrape on there.
The problem with the apples and the pears and stuff is they usually drop before the season starts.
I don't know why, Chris, but we have these pears that stay on and they dwarf. And they were on first day of rifle season. They were over there. I got the video where the doe were standing on their hind legs, grabbing a branch, snapping a branch to drop the pears off. And it's November.
Depends on the variety, I guess.
It's Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, and I grew that pear tree that's in the middle of my dad's food plot. Yeah. I grew that pear tree from 6 inches. It was in a pot in my yard, and I fertilized it and did stuff and trimmed it. And when it budded, I brought it. When it lost its buds, I brought it in the dark, put it back out there. We planted it out there. That thing's 30 foot tall now, white blossoms on it. The only thing we need is more bees down there. We got to get bees. So we're planting.
Well, you got to plant buckwheat.
We're planting some pollinators on the sides. We got the gas well coming in. They're going to plant fusion in there, and then we're going to get on the side of our hills where we don't want the deer to feed, and we don't want our neighbors. We don't want the edge of our property, so we're planting pollinators on there, and we're going to let that, and hopefully that brings in and the clover will help too.
Well, you plant some buckwheat.
I don't like buckwheat. I don't like it. I just think it grows too woody.
Bees love it,
yeah, I know.
Bees love it.
I just think it's a lot of residual after the fact. You got all that woody, and I just don't
all that stemmy stuff left.
I mean, we were gonna do the old crimping and all that, and plant buckwheat, and then I
go
look
in
at
with
it.
Brush hog. I go in high with a brush hog, and then lower it. Take another layer, and then lower it to the ground, and just mulch it.
Yeah, my dad did start them from a soup can. The chestnuts he got down there, he started from a soup can, literally from a soup can.
Huh.
But we enjoy that stuff. We enjoy watching stuff grow. You know what I mean?
All right, and then, just like the guys out back in Michigan, though, they got the pears and the apple trees. Those guys still got fresh apples dropping off from those, because you can't bait in Michigan. But them pears and apple trees, they'll be dropping fresh pears and fresh apples all through deer season.
It's funny because the apples
they go to the orchard, and they buy them, and they just keep pears and apples under them all the time. DNR shows up like, whatever, those fell off that tree. No, they didn't. Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, it's December, dude.
They got a red delicious apple falling off a crab apple tree.
I caught the neighbor. He had a bucket of yellow delicious underneath a maple. I thought, that's really trying.
My buddy bought an apple tree this weekend at Tractor Supply. We went down there. We got our corn, and I did a video. It's coming out tomorrow, actually. Make sure you check it out. And plums. He bought some plum trees and apples, and I told him we're gonna make plapples. We're gonna fuse the trees together and
crossbreed them.
We're gonna come up with a plapple. That's gonna be the next best thing in the deer food plot industry. Is gonna be a plapple.
Right. There you go.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I guess we've been going on it for an hour and a half. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, and I said I was only going to be on for 45 minutes.
I knew you wouldn't be. I knew you.
Yeah. Double that.
We're gonna do this again, though.
Yeah, you got me all geeked out talking about this stuff.
I'm just glad you didn't hurt yourself with that pen, Chris. That's all.
Yeah, I get.
Well, I'm just glad to know that I've got Chris I can go to on some food plot questions.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like I said, Chris.
So if your phone starts blowing up, Chris, saying, "Hey, Shawn said to get a hold of you about," Shawn, you'd be like, "Oh no, Shawn."
Shawn, he enjoys that stuff though. That's his life.
Oh yeah.
And that's what Chris, I'm going to put you on the spot here too. And that's why I told you, man, jump the wagon, Get it. Get over on the wagon, dude. I'm telling you. Come over.
When I get kicked out, I'm coming home.
You come over. You come where you're
coming
supposed
over
to be.
Jinx'Em.
Come
home.
Right on.
Like I said, it would be nice though. It would be nice though, Chris, to get you there in the end of April would be kind of cool. Like you said, I'm sure you'd enjoy it.
Oh, I know I would.
Yep. Still a little class. Hand you the mic and say, "There you go, buddy." Start telling them what they want to know.
I mean, just from the information we got here tonight, I mean, that's great information, dude. With the CCEs and all that, people need. I
learned a lot already tonight. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I know when we bought the food plot seed company there, that actually come with the fat racks mineral and the deer feed, and then all the food plot seeds.
Yeah.
I mean, even though I was a farm kid, I mean, we grew corn. I mean, so we weren't doing food plots. So I know 3 years ago when I come in, I was completely in the dark about seed, what's the best to plant in this and what's the best time. And, you know, I've learned a lot over the last 3 years, but I still learned quite a bit tonight from you too.
That brings me to one question too, Shawn, for you. What made you pick the alfalfa to put in your plots? What did you like about the alfalfa? They
were already existing mixes from the company that we had bought it from. Mm-hmm. So we just stuck with their mixes. The only thing, like I said, that switchgrass was something new that we brought in, and because we were getting people asking for it.
Because you don't see a lot of mixes. Yeah, you don't see a lot of mixes with it, like on the store shelf. You don't see a lot of alfalfa mixed in with it, you know what I mean? And that's why I was like, is that something like a secret, something that you're doing differently? And it is different because I don't see it out on the shelf.
Well, I mean, really, just like our X20 is the alfalfa and clover. I mean, it's basically a hayfield.
Yeah.
Same thing with our extreme. You know, although you got the chicory thrown in there with it, but those mixes. I mean, I kind of look at it. Even the extreme that's got the chicory in it, I still kind of look at them as basically they're just big hay fields. And you know as well as I do, you come that late summer and that you start driving by those hay fields, and what's out there? The deer. The fields are full of deer, and so this is just a good all around. Everybody's kind of used to. It's the kind of the norm. Alfalfa, clover. That's pretty standard, especially in the farming life that I grew up in. I mean, that's what we did. We had hay fields, but honestly, our hay fields were pretty much all alfalfa, so not so much the clover, but there was, some of our fields had clover mixed in because you know how that clover is. Once it comes in, it kind of takes over and doesn't want to go anywhere. So it'll just, then you just bail it up with your hay and hey, I got an alfalfa clover mixed hay, so that's kind of, like I said, those blends were already pre-mixed by the company that we bought out. So we just continued the same lines that they've had. We've discussed, I've kind of been doing some research on a couple of, there was one I was wanting to come out with this year, and we just decided to maybe we'll wait till next year. And it was one that's geared more towards low sun, poor soils, something that'll grow. Now our double X and our triple X will grow in those woodland clearings, fairly decent. But there are, I'm sure, others out there doing your research, and there could probably be some other mixes that would perform pretty good in those situations as well. So, and I know we get a lot of requests from guys like that. But hey, I've got this, like it's a 40-yard by 40-yard little clearing in my timber, man. Can I grow anything in there? And it's like, as long as your canopy's not so thick that, you're getting, 4 to 6 hours of sunlight, 4 hours solid, and maybe, split up a couple hours of filtered sunlight, then for sure. But
I guess those are like a throw and grow. Is that what you're talking about? Like a throw, like inoculated really. Seeds or something?
That's the problem with those wooded clearings like that. I'll guarantee you that pretty much every time you do a soil test on that, because of all the dead leaf debris that is sat there, and your soil becomes, is it acidic that it becomes because of so you want to clear that ground too. And again, you're going to want to do a soil test on that. And if it needs lime or whatever it's wanting, you're going to want to do that with. In those little timbered plots like that, they can be a little tough to grow, and they just are, and especially if they're not prepping the soil properly and not doing that soil test to see where they're at, you could struggle a little bit with that. I think a lot of guys get the fallacy too, that because all these leaves all rotted on here and everything, man, this soil's probably got a ton of nutrients in it. And it's like, no, it's super, it's super acidic now. So you gotta, you gotta fix that. So we've been discussing, and maybe this next year, I've been looking into a couple different, there's like 3 other seeds out there that, are kind of recommended for things like that, for your little wooded clearing spots and things like that perform fairly well. So you may see us come out with another seed blend that maybe that kind of geared towards those guys that don't really have the fields to put in a food plot, but hey, I got a nice big clearing in my timber, man. What can I do in there? So I've been doing some research to try to, Chris, if you know of any seed or anything like that too, maybe throw me some ideas like, hey, what we were talking about on that, on our live the other night. I got some ideas for you that might work well. I got
some ideas for you. As you're talking about it, I was thinking about it.
Actually. I would love to see, and this grows unbelievably down at our camp.
Is we going to have a Jinx'Em Chris Worthing blend or what? I don't know.
We might.
There you go. A city sticker blend.
City sticker blend.
But I'd like to see a rape blend, like a rape seed, like dwarf Essex rape. That grows awesome, and the deer love it down in my area. So a dwarf Essex rape of a couple different species would be awesome. That's my recommendation. But that's
and then again, like I said too, anything.
But I can make it with you too. I can make
any mix you want. You can say, hey, Shawn, you know what? I've been talking with Chris, and he's kind of throwing me these seeds right here. You know what? What can you do for me? Can you get me this mix? And I'll guarantee you I can.
But we're not going to tell Chris my secret mix. We're going to do my secret mix. We're not going to tell Chris. No, Chris and I share all kinds of information. He's a good dude. He's wealth of knowledge with that stuff. That's why, I respect what he does, and he's helped me a lot on our food plots for sure. And I think he would be an asset to the food plot.
Now I'm that guy when it comes to using scents and mock scrapes and all that kind. That one I'm very confident in everything that I say and how it works and everything else. But you get into the food plot seeds. Yeah, I need a guy like Chris that's going to be able to kind of say, "Oh no, come on, dude, what are you doing? Who told you to do that?"
I'm gonna hit Chris because me and Chris are such good friends. I'm gonna hit him with a shot though, but we got to get Chris a deer next year. A buck.
A real buck, anyhow. Huh?
I'm sorry, Chris. I had to do that, buddy.
I had to keep the streak rolling though.
I know.
I had to keep the streak rolling. I had a big string of nice bucks, and I couldn't go out without a buck. I don't know. That's all
right. Hey, a buck is a buck, dude. I was just messing with you. You know that. I know you try. I know you.
I'm a big buck hunter, but I know there's been few seasons like, you know what, my big boys ain't showed up, or I've seen them but just ain't gotten a shot at them. So you know what, we're down to like just a few days of season here, and I'm gonna put something in the freezer. Well, he's not a very big one, but okay, sorry, bud, you shouldn't have walked by my stand tonight because I get a little bit itchy on my trigger finger.
For sure.
Well, I had quite the ground shrinkage this year.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, he's in the freezer though. He's dead.
He called me up. He's like, "Yeah, I shot a deer."
I was upset.
I don't know. I was
upset.
But when you're eating those steaks, you don't think about how big the rack was. You're thinking about how good that steak is.
Yeah. It was all good though. I got to take my boy out more hunting.
Well, you shot last year, Chris. You shot a record Sika deer. So what are you crying about?
I shot a Sika deer, and I shot a really nice buck too. And
you can't have a great buck every year, man. Look at me. How long it took for me to get my buck.
I want a great buck every year.
Well, my son said that. That's what my son said this year. He's like, yeah, Dad, I want to get a buck. He goes, I want one like yours on the wall. I was like, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he ended up doing good, though. He shot one. Yeah, as long as he improves every year, I'm good. But he's so spoiled. Right. He got 6 deer in 3 years. So he's like, he thinks it comes every year he gets a deer. And I'm like, dude, it don't happen that way all the time, man. So just be thankful. What's up, Crappy Kid? Thanks for coming in, buddy. But we are going to end this. We've been going for an hour and 45 minutes. So we've been
mine says 1:44:21.
Mine's 1:45:18. But I got to get up at 3:45 in the morning. I got to get to bed here. So,
Yeah.
but Shawn,
All right,
thank
guys.
you for coming in. You guys
You bet.
on a short notice.
Thanks
Short
for the invite.
notice. Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you guys.
it was fun, guys. It was fun.
Yeah. And we'll be doing more of
Yep.
these throughout the year. We're going to be doing some more of these food plots because food plot season is coming. So thank you all for being in here. Chris, you have any last words you want to say? Tell anybody?
No,
and you want to promote throw your channel out there real quick?
No, he was only going to be here 45 minutes.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, if there's anybody in here still listening to me, I'm a geek for food plots, and if you're into it, go check out my channel at City Sticker, and you can ask any questions you want. I'm transparent that way, and like I said, if I don't know the question, I won't BS you. I'll get you an answer if I don't know it. So
Perfect.
Cool.
check out my channel.
And there is my link, right? If you go to jinxemsense.com and use my code OFFTHEHOOKOUTDOORS, that'll save you 10% on products. So make sure you use that link. Go check out Jinx'Em Scent and check out all of my affiliates that I have in my description. I go through that every time I put a video up. I put all my partners and affiliates, and Jinx'Em Scent is second to none. I'm telling you right now, guys, you won't be disappointed.
Yep.
Go over, browse their website, use my code to save you 10% on the products. And like I said, guys, thank you both for being here on such short notice. I called you like 2 hours before this live, and everybody was like, yep, let's do it. So I did want to get the frost seeding thing in, but we will be doing more videos on this food plotting coming up here real soon. So, and I think we're going to be trying to work on something as well with Jinx'Em Sense. You know, Shawn and I, we talked about maybe doing something from different states, everybody representing a different state and what's going on and everything like that. So like I always say, guys, take a kid fishing or hunting. We want to preserve our sport and pass it on to future generations, and we will see you.
All right. See ya.